The clerk, Rivers State House of Assembly, Dr. Emeka Amadi, has said there was no change in the leadership of the Assembly, stating that Martin Amaewhule remains the Speaker, while Dumle Malu and Major Jack remains Deputy Speaker and Majority Leader, respectively. In a press release signed by the clerk, titled "A Disclaimer" by the Rivers State House of Assembly, issued on Thursday night, Amadi said apart from the seat of Kena, Constituency 2, which was declared vacant because of death of the member who represented the constituency, no other seat has been declared vacant. He went further to state that Victor Okojumbo and Sokari Goodboy Sokari and Adolphus Oribimi Timothy were suspended on the 30th of October 2023 pursuant to the rules of the House, and their suspension is yet to be lifted and they cannot lay claim to be officers of the House. And now we'll move away from that now, as the U.S. Department of Justice has been asked to reopen an investigation into energy giants Shell and ENI over their alleged involvement in a bribery scandal in Nigeria. The scandal surrounds the acquisition of OPL 245. The U.S. lawmakers now wants the department to ascertain the payment of bribe to Nigerian government officials to the tune of $1.1 billion. Former President Goodluck Jonathan is accused of receiving $200 million. The renewed call follows revelations of alleged extensive corruption within the oil industry, with allegations suggesting that Shell and ENI orchestrated illicit payments to secure lucrative oil contracts. This latest development underscores the persistent efforts by international authorities to hold corporations accountable for unethical practices in the pursuit of profit. The FCPA investigation, initially launched in response to suspicions of corruption surrounding the OPL 245 deal, gained renewed momentum as new evidence surfaced, shedding light on the extent of dirty deals within the energy sector. Away from that now, we move on to more corruption charges, and this time a federal high court in Abuja, the capital of Nigeria, has granted 100 million naira bail, each to a former Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, his daughter, and 2 others. They are being tried over an alleged fraud to the tune of 2.7 billion naira. According to the court, they are also to provide 2 shorties who must have landed properties in Abuja. The court also restricted the defendants from traveling abroad without its permission. The trial will commence on the 10th, 11th, and 20th of June. Counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Rotimi Jacob, spoke on the bail conditions granted by the court.
One of the 2 cases filed against the former minister. So the first one is taken before his lordship here. So we are going to contend for the other one in another date. So, but the bail is at the discretion of the court. So it's for the court to decide whether it is adequate or not. So the counsel, in his own right, cannot criticize the judge whether the conditions are liberal or high or low. But I think it is fair. Yes, thank you. Well, there are other issues that were introduced, like the Nigerian Airways with Ethiopia something, which we added to it. So it was not there originally, but Nigerian Air matter is there are 2 counts on it. That's why we amended it. A condition that one of the surety must own property in Abuja and must deposit some money out or bond and all those things. So I don't think it's strenuous. It's a condition that is unfair. It's very fair to them.
Earlier, we're joined on the news by Elvis, Asisa, legal practitioner, to discuss this. Take a look.
The fact that, generally speaking, when a bail bond amount is announced like this, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to pay it, unless that is part of the conditions given, which is very rare. The idea is that you give the bond and to almost like an undertaking that the person will be brought to court to face his or her charges or trial. So if for whatever reason you are unable to produce a person, then you may forfeit that bond. That means that you have to pay that money, or if you had paid it, you will lose it. So it's really nothing new. I don't think the amount is too much. I think, given the nature of the offense for which the minister and the other people have been tried, I don't think it's too out of place to place that amount. So I want to believe that the minister will have people.
The House of Representatives on Thursday resolved to probe the ongoing 15 trillion naira Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project. As such, the House said it would set up an ad hoc committee which would investigate the project and submit a report within 4 weeks. The resolution of the House followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance moved during plenary by the member representing Kwara East, Kwara West Federal Constituency, Benue State, Austin Achando. The House also resolved to summon the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi-San, the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, and his works counterpart, David Umahi, to shed more light on the project. In the meantime, Nigeria's Senate has approved the death penalty for illicit drug trafficking in the country. Now, this followed a debate on the floor of the Senate during the third reading of the National Drug Law Enforcement Act of 2024. Martin Amaewhule reports.
It was a debate on the NDLA Act 2024 as part of the process for amendment. The act, which was being read for a third time, saw lawmakers make their final input on the amended act as the Senate dissolved into a committee of the whole.
Clause 17, dealing with exportation of dangerous substances, is deleted as the provision of the Principal Act, Section 22, is contrary to the rule of double jeopardy, which generally prevents a person from being tried or punished twice on the same offense. As such, it is totally expunged from the Act.
As lawmakers reviewed the clause recommending the penalty for drug trafficking, a heated debate ensued over the decision to adopt the death penalty.
I am surprised that the committee is recommending a softer punishment. It was a life imprisonment. In fact, we should change it to death sentence. This is practiced everywhere in this country that are serious about dealing with drugs. So when we come to take it clause by clause, please, distinguished colleagues, let's change that section 11 to read death sentence, whether by hanging or whatever.
Death. We must be honest, transparent in the decision. I am accountable to my conscience and to my community. Death sentence is not a matter for a, nay, or nay. Everybody should vote so that we will be counted. When it matters, those who vote for death and those who vote for punishment. No, you cannot. We'll take a vote. It's a fundamental issue. We are making law here. This is not a motion.
While some lawmakers wanted the Senate to adopt a life imprisonment penalty following a voice vote, the Deputy President of the Senate overruled their votes, saying their decision had come late. With this concluded, the Senate passed the bill for the third time. In Abuja for News Central, I am Martin Amaewhule.
Bandits on Thursday night invaded the Confluence University of Science and Technology, or SARA Okene, in Kogi State and abducted some students. An eyewitness account indicated that the bandits swooped on the university around 9 p.m. local time while the students were reading for their upcoming exams. The source said that the bandits came in through the bush, went into 3 lecture halls and began to shoot into the air to scare the students. A student who craved anonymity said that he and some colleagues ran to the bush and hid there for more than an hour. The Nigerian Army has made a bold promise to put an end to insurgency that has plagued the northeast region of the country for over a decade. Now, this was when another rescued Chibok schoolgirl that was kidnapped 10 years ago was handed over to Borno state government by the army. News Central's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
The young woman, Lydia Simon, who was abducted by Boko Haram in 2014, was found and freed by Nigerian soldiers during their ongoing operations. Lydia Simon, who now has 3 children, gives details of how she was rescued.
Dama asali ni ina Sambisa ne. Sai mu bar Sambisa mun tafi Dutse. A Sambisa an kan su da yawa ne amma a Dutse yan su guda 6 ne yanzu sun rage.
During a press conference, the Army's theater commander for Joint Task Force Operation Hadinkai declared the military's unwavering commitment to defeating the Boko Haram and ISWAP terrorist groups that have terrorized the region for years.
All efforts, both national and international, have been done to ensure the safe rescue of these girls and they being reunited with their families. The effort of the military in this aspect is the fact that we conduct operations, military operations, deep into terrorist enclaves, and that will facilitate some of these girls to be rescued. 18 so far have been rescued, and which will normally do this thing routinely.
Lydia was handed over to representative of the Borno State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development.
We have done possible things to make her feel at home again. She was, first of all, given proper medical attention.
Major General Waidi Shaibu spoke about the security situation in the northeast.
The issue is that peace have returned, relative peace have returned to Borno. There are still skirmishes, 1 or 2 in here about, but that does not change what we have achieved so far. The armed forces have achieved so far here in the fight against the insurgency. Currently, there is no state of the northeast that is under their control. They are just safe havens in specific places which we are dealing with.
Lydia now begins the journey of rejoining her family after 10 years. In the next 10 years, as the wound heals, the children may just be the reminder of how her life was hijacked by terrorists a decade ago. As the military intensifies its operations, the people of the Northeast eagerly await the day when peace and security will finally be restored to their communities. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Cybersecurity experts in Nigeria have called on government to equip law enforcement agencies with the right skills and tools against cyber crimes. Now, this was during a training session organized by the A&D Forensics and the Africa Stablecoin Consortium for 21 Interpol officers in Nigeria to improve their capacity and enable them to be proactive in the war against cybercrime. Idong Joseph reports.
The current adoption of virtual assets for payments and investment purposes has led to the rise in cybercrime in the country. The Nigeria Interpol says it has continued to receive complaints about cybercrime perpetrated by citizens within and outside the country. With this in mind, cybersecurity experts say there's a need to build the capacity of law enforcement officers to help mitigate the rise in this kind of crime.
You know, cryptocurrency is becoming very endemic, and so that will explain to you that there will also be a lot of criminal elements using it within our country. And we discovered, because we have a forensic lab, we discovered that this gap between the crime itself and the law enforcement in the country. And as corporate citizens, we felt we can assist so that also our law enforcement officers can actually be up to date and also know the crimes that are happening, you know, occasioned by this new money.
Cryptocurrency cybercrime is only a small fraction of cybercrime as a whole, right? But you start somewhere. And our focus is on the cryptocurrency, cybercrime in the cryptocurrency space. So we train regulators, we work closely with regulators to make sure that they're able to manage, you know, cybercrime within that specific context.
Personnel of Nigeria Interpol participated in a one-day training aimed at equipping 21 Interpol officers on how to effectively track and trace crimes involving crypto activities.
Currently, we have a lot of cryptocurrencies that the bad actors would want to use. But recently, especially Bitcoin, there is an increase in the use of stable coins for crypto crimes. So we are hoping that at the end of this training, the Interpol will be able to learn how these crypto activities happen.
Blockchain is easier than normal bank accounts to track and monitor. All the information is public, so we just want, the regulators want everybody to be aware that this is fairly easy to investigate, it's fairly easy to track, and we're telling them that, okay, this is how you do it.
As cyber risks evolve and the need for cybersecurity measures become more necessary, experts say there's a need to also inform citizens to be wary of their electronic transactions. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong.
Nigeria's House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Foreign Affairs to conduct a thorough investigation over allegations of charging Nigerians exorbitant visa fees and denying them visas after payment. Now, this followed the adoption of a motion raised on the floor of the House. Lawmakers expressed concern, saying many Nigerians around the world are with challenges bordering on consular services. The lawmakers say that because of this, many Nigerians have been stranded outside the country, with others held in correctional centers against their wish.
Many Nigerian students are stranded in foreign lands over issues that can be resolved, and that many Nigerians own businesses around the world helping to contribute to the economy of those countries and sending remittances back home. They are suffering harassment and sabotage. Several modes of visa applications are in force, including express services with huge costs paid by applicants who are sometimes denied visa after such payments. Conscious that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in addition to budgetary allocation, benefits from intervention funds, from running the affairs of the ministry and missions, as well as the internally generated revenue by several missions around the world, has questions in the effective and efficient utilization of such funds over the years.
Motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. That's it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Foreign Affairs for further legislative action.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has restated the resolve of the Nigerian military in maintaining the highest level of international standards of human rights as troops carry out their responsibilities. Now, this was captured in the remarks of the General Officer commanding 3 Division and Commander of Operation Safe Haven, Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, at the Human Rights Lecture organized by the Defense Headquarters for troops of Operation Safe Haven in Plateau State. News Center's Chizoba Anyonwe was there and now tells us more.
Infringement on the rights of civilians has remained one of the factors counting against some troops of the Nigerian Army and indeed other security formations in the country. Amnesty International had on several occasions prosecuted heads of these formations, which negated the laws of freedom and rights of civilians. Against this backdrop of abuses, Major General Abubakar maintained that sessions such as this cannot be overemphasized.
It is pertinent to note that by the nature of our operations, especially in Operation Safe Haven, personnel have been inundated on the need to operate within the ambit of the law with maximum respect for the rule of law and the rights of our dear civilians.
Undesirable forms of torture meted out on civilians by some security personnel remain key areas troops were asked to desist from, even when eliciting information from suspects.
The main thrust of military operations, once members of the armed forces are called out by virtue of Section 217 of 2 paragraph C of the 1999 Constitution, once you are called out for the purpose of restoring law and order, automatically you have that primary responsibility of protecting civilians.
Section 1A Anti-Torture Act 2017 states that The government shall ensure that the rights of all persons, including suspects, detainees, and prisoners, are respected at all times, and that no persons placed under investigation or held in custody of any person in authority shall be subjected to physical harm, force, violence, threats, or intimidation of any act that impairs his free will.
Special Advisor on Human Rights to the Chief of Defense Staff, Air Commodore Oluwole Akinsoyan, retired, maintains that if attention is given to the topics discussed here, then troops will always perform credibly without implicating their superiors as they discharge their duties. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyonwi.
The Nigeria Police Force in Delta State says it has arrested 2 suspects in connection with the murder of a 200-level university student who was recently declared missing in the state. The State Commissioner of Police, while parading the suspects in Benin City, the state capital, urged parents to be cautious about the whereabouts of their children and wards. He also urged citizens to always share intelligence information with the police.
Because of the deadly activities of some notorious hoodlums, heartless, we should please be guided by these to know where we send our words and children. We equally want to appeal to members of the public to give, as they have been doing, more credible and actionable information. That is intelligence that when it is given, they should be rest assured that such information will be treated with the utmost confidentiality.
This very man say, look, we go carry that Baba Pikin. Say that Baba Pikin na money lender for in own community. Say he get money where say if you carry the girl Pikin, more go put am for bush. Say go take over for that place. So when we try to go carry the girl now, this man in-law, the girl start fighting with this man in-law. So I try to hold the girl with my in-law so that we can press him neck so that the girl no go feel the shout. So when we press the girl neck, we sound say the girl no feel shout again. That's why we left with the machine.
Drag. He come dey fight with me. After they fight with me, now I come hold am. My in-law come help me hold am. Now, but he never die finish. Now we can't leave am for there. Now we can't carry bike and fuel. We can't come out.
Chad's junta chief Mohamed Idris Deby Itno won this week's presidential election in the first round. Now, this is according to provincial official results released on Thursday, extending his family's decade-long grip on power. Monday's vote aimed to end 3 years of military rule in a country crucial to the fight against jihadism across Africa's Sahel Desert region. The Anje Electoral Commission said Deby won 61.03% of votes, beating Prime Minister Success Masra, who garnered only 18.53% in results due to be confirmed by the Constitutional Council.
Mohamed Idris Deby, 3 784 360, soit 61,03%. Yassine Abdraman Sakin, 22 495, soit 0,36%. Paini Padake Albert, 1 48 506 voix, soit 16,91%.
Au vu de cette large victoire, je suis désormais le président élu de tous les Tchadiens, aussi bien le président de ceux qui ont voté pour moi, mais aussi le président de ceux qui ont fait d'autres choix.
In the meantime, as Chadian soldiers and regular citizens took to the streets of N'Djamena to celebrate after junta chief Mohamed Idris Deby Itno won the presidential election in the first round. Soldiers in N'Djamena neighborhood, where Masra's party is based, fire their guns in the air after the results were announced, both in celebration of Debi's win and to deter protesters from gathering. Near the presidential palace in central N'Djamena, Debi's supporters shouted, sang, sounded car horns and fired their own guns in the air in celebration. Some frightened people ran for cover or to their homes, and the capital streets were soon empty. At least 2 teenagers were injured by falling bullets, an AFP journalist said. And on to South Africa, where Mkhonto Wesiwe, together with its leader, former President Jacob Zuma, and the IEC, are today at the Constitutional Court to square up after the elections body appealed the ruling of the Electoral Court, which found Zuma was eligible to run as a candidate in the upcoming elections, despite being handed a 15-month prison sentence by the Constitutional Court in June of 2021. Meanwhile, Zuma and the MK party want the 6 justices who sentenced him to 15 months imprisonment in 2021 for contempt of court to recuse themselves on this matter. However, the IEC said no matter the outcome of the appeal, it would have no bearing on the election, as all electoral processes had been concluded and no more changes to the ballot or the electoral list could be made. Zuma is the leader and face of MK party. And on to South Sudan, where its government has launched a new round of peace talks with rebel groups on Thursday in Nairobi, with Kenya mediating after earlier negotiations fell apart in 2022. Previously, talks between the government and a coalition of rebel groups which did not sign a 2018 peace agreement that ended a 5-year civil war were brokered in Rome by a Catholic association with ties to the Vatican. But the government withdrew from the negotiations in November 2022, accusing the rebels of using the talks to buy time as they prepare for war. Following a request from President Salva Kiir, Kenya agreed to step in as mediator, appointing former army commander Lazarus Sumbeyowe to lead the talks.
Listening to both the representative of the opposition and the representative of government, and the language of brotherhood therein, gives us hope that there is a chance for us to settle this once and for all.
For peace in South Sudan, which when fully achieved will bring everlasting stability and economic development in the region, and leave alone South Sudan, but in the region.
Peace agreements are not being implemented. What we need is a serious dialogue, a real soul search, so that we can really address the root causes and come out with a new social contract that will define what type of a state we want to have, that will define what type of a nation we are and how do we manage our affairs.
In the meantime, the United Nations say more than 100,000 people have fled Rafah within the southern Gaza city under threat of a full-scale Israeli ground invasion. UNICEF's senior emergency coordinator in the Gaza Strip, Hamish Young, made this known during a briefing in Geneva via video link from Rafah.
They moved north into the government. Since the attack, we've seen on average about 30,000 people leaving Rafah every day. They move from Rafah city towards the coast, or they move north into the governorate of Khan Yunis or Deir al-Balah, or what we call the middle area. They add to the numbers of the displaced there, so these areas already have displaced numbers in the hundreds of thousands.
The U.S. Homeland Security Department has proposed a new rule that would allow for swifter expulsion of asylum seekers deemed to be a national security threat or who have been convicted of serious crimes. As he seeks re-election in November, President Joe Biden is under constant attack from Republicans led by his presumptive opponent, and that's Donald Trump, with accusations that he is allowing undocumented people to cross over the southern U.S. border in droves. The proposal, published Thursday, would allow authorities to reject claims from asylum seekers with certain criminal backgrounds within days of their arrival in the country. The proposed rule will go into effect after a 30-day period of public debate.
Como inmigrante desearía que fuera así de fácil también, pero como le digo, como tienen ellos sus reglas, sus leyes, pues lo hacen por seguridad de su país también.
Pues sí nos la ponen muy difícil, porque pues ahora que para nosotros es como es invadir una barrera, ¿me entiendes? O sea, no está nada fácil.
On to Latin America, where the elected president of Panama, José Raúl Mulino, has promised to deport migrants who either enter the country through the Darien jungle bordering Colombia on their march to the United States. More than 520,000 people, mostly Venezuelans, crossed the inhospitable jungle in 2023, which has forced the Panamanian government to allocate resources to assist them. According to official figures, in the first quarter of the year, more than 110,000 people made the crossing.
Que Panamá y nuestro Darién no es una ruta de tránsito. No, señor. Esa es nuestra frontera. Y el concepto, iniciaremos con ayuda internacional un proceso de repatriación con todo apego a los derechos humanos de todas las personas que están allí, para que sepan los de allá y los que quisieran venir, que aquí el que llega se va a devolver a su país de origen.
And now for business, we will bring you the business stories for today from our business desk.
Welcome to business news. The federal government has announced a crackdown on point-of-sales operators who fail to register with the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, by July 7, 2024. The Registrar General of the CAC, Hussaini Magaji, disclosed this during the formal launch of the CA's registration of fintech agents and merchants, while emphasizing the importance of mandatory registration for nationwide point-of-sale operators. He also explained that the government's action aligns with legal requirements and the Central Bank of Nigeria's guidelines on agent banking. The CAC boss later warned that the 60-day registration deadline would not be extended, stressing that defaulters would receive adequate punishment after the deadline. Moving on to Botswana, the world's largest diamond producer is closely monitoring BHP Billiton's attempt to acquire Anglo American, which controls their diamond venture through De Beers. President Mukwege Masisi stated at the U.S.-Africa Business Summit that while no formal approach has been made to Botswana, the government will protect its interest in De Beers, of which it owns 15%. De Beers and the Botswana government jointly own Depswana Diamond, the world's largest diamond producer by value. Masisi emphasized that the value of De Beers is primarily derived from Botswana's contributions. In an ongoing dispute over the closure of their shared border, Benin has prohibited the exportation of oil by landlocked Niger through its port, according to reports on Thursday. Niger's plans to utilize an oil pipeline built by China for Niger passing through Benin have been temporarily halted due to the border conflict.
And now we're taking you back to the defense headquarters in the nation's capital, Abuja, where we expect the arrival of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle as they have arrived. This is ahead of the Invictus Game. We understand that Nigeria participated last year, and they are on invitation from the head of defense, and this is a commander-in-chief there for defense who is going to be welcoming them, and that's none other than General Christopher Musa. And they will be there at the defense headquarters, and one of the talks that will be had will definitely be on the prospects of the country, Nigeria, hosting Invictus Games in the future. Of course, this will not be their very first stops. There's going to be 2 more stops for them. One of them will be Lagos, which is the commercial capital of Nigeria. Lagos State has a boistering economy, of course, and also they will be visiting Kaduna as well. Kaduna State has the Training Institute as well, and also have been tackling with a lot of insecurity as well as insurgency. And so we see what would come out in the next couple of days. We understand they'll be here for the entirety of the weekend today. And that was scenes there from the welcome ceremony for the Duke of Sussex, Duke and Duchess of Sussex there, and that is Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, as they are being welcomed by the guards there, as well as the ceremony going there with the traditional dancers at the back. Now, this invite is from the Major General Christopher Musa, on invitation to discuss prospects of Nigeria hosting the Invictus Games. Now, the Invictus Game is an international multi-sport event that was first held in 2014 for wounded and injured sick servicemen and women, both serving and veterans. And we do understand that Nigeria has been fighting insurgency as far back as 2014 as well, and also has sent peace troops to different parts of Africa and also the world at large. So we do hope to see what will unfold in the coming days. In the meantime, what you see them processing to is a closed-door session that would follow right after that welcome ceremony. Well, that's all that we can take on the news now for today. But before we go, let's give you another look at some of the major stories. U.S. lawmakers demand a reopening of case against Shell and ENI in Nigeria. Nigeria's Senate approves death penalty for drug traffickers. We also told you that Chadians celebrate as junta chief Idris Deby wins presidential vote. Now remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on your screen. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith, TV.